by chance, did you happen to watch my last episode with Leydia, the incredible 98-year-old woman from South Miami who runs her nursery every single day at 98 years old? Well, if not, you really, really need to check it out. But are you curious, like how has she lived so long with such great vitality? I don't know anybody. I know very few people who live to 98 years old, yet alone are working with such vigor and vitality with no intention to stop. So what do you think her secret is? Do you think she's wearing an Oura ring and doing some biohacking? Do you think she is following a keto or a paleo diet? Mm-mm. There's something much deeper to her success, and I want to talk about that today. So what is her secret? As an experienced doctor of Chinese medicine, I observe and treat patients every single day. I find it very interesting to see the varying degrees of how we age, especially as I've gotten older myself. And we know that genetics plays a huge part in how we age, but really those genes can be turned on or off by lifestyle factors. So really genetics only plays about 25 to 30% as a predictor of our longevity and how well we age. So there's also diet. I'm a huge proponent of diet and lifestyle and exercise, but there's something much more inexplicable, something deeper, something more magical in a sense that doesn't get enough attention, and that is our spirit. And that leads me to Leydia. That is something that cannot be taught. It is something that cannot really be emulated. It's partly divine and also cultivated over a lifetime. In a Chinese medicine, we look at that as our Shen, and Shen is our spirit. It is the sparkle in our eyes. It is the glow on our complexion, and it is housed in our heart. Then we also have Mingmen fire. It is a special place. It is the flame, the inner fuel of our being that we are born with. It sits between our kidneys. It's more than just an anatomical position, but we call that Mingmen fire. And when you have the candle, which is our Shen, and then you have that fuel, you have that passion, and that is the magic. Some people really have it. Others don't. Some people really need to work on it. Leydia has it in spades. Years ago, I had the opportunity to study under Master Zhu in California. He ran a neurological acupuncture clinic, which I believe now has closed, but he successfully treated stroke, other neurological conditions such as MS and Parkinson's. People came from all over to be seen by him. He was world renowned. He developed a certain kind of scalp acupuncture where when he was in China, he was treating rural Chinese people that did not have access to emergency medical care. And he became very adept at treating these acute and dangerous and life-threatening conditions to the point where he could rehabilitate them. So I spent a week at his seminar in San Jose, California. And it happened to be his birthday on one of those days. And he said, ironically, we had a birthday party celebration for him, which I thought was funny, especially after you're going to hear the next thing. He said, we should not be celebrating our birthday. First of all, that is a day your mother suffered greatly. Second, it reminds us of what we should or we should not, or we can or we cannot do at our physical age. And I thought, how true is that? How many times have we put limits on ourselves or put limits on others or seen others do that because of a physical number? And that has always stuck with me. Master Zhu has passed on, but I will always remember his teaching, especially that. Sometimes we obey the rules. Most of us obey the rules. We look at society. Oh, don't go up on that ladder. Oh, can't be doing that anymore. Those are the rules that society puts on us, that we put upon ourselves, that we believe to be true. So fact that our mind is so powerful, we make it true. And then there's others that completely disobey the rules. Look at William Shatner, for example. I listened to a podcast a couple years ago. He was on Mark Maron's WTF. And he was going over all the projects that he was involved in, albums he was creating, documentaries he was going to be in. And I would have assumed he was a very young man. Never in my mind would I have imagined that man was 92 years old doing all those things with such joy and passion. And it inspired me to hear someone at that age that just wasn't stopping. Well, he didn't have a stop button. He says the longevity secret for him is always saying yes. He doesn't say no to anything. And he has been doing it since he was young, and he never, ever stopped. There is not a can't, there is not a no, there is not a should not in his vocabulary. And the same goes for Leydia. If I could put those two together as a couple, I would. Because Leydia, the first thing she says in her interview is, I'm going to build more. I'm going to get 3 more properties. I have the plans for it. There's no can't, there's no should not in her vocabulary. Nothing is stopping her. No one is stopping her. And society certainly isn't going to stop that woman. And she says, I live without hesitation. She advises us to live without hesitation. And she continues to abide by that. So of course, these are just anecdotal stories, right? But modern research is starting to take note. In 2004, Don Buettner, a journalist and explorer for National Geographic, and he termed blue zones. And you may or may not have heard of them, but they are areas where there are large concentrations of centenarians who live actively and well way beyond their 90s and into their hundreds. And those places include Ikigai, Greece, Sardinia, Italy, Loma Linda, California, and Okinawa, Japan, and Nicoya, Costa Rica. And I want to talk about 2 of those. First of all, Okinawa, Japan. They have this beautiful concept and word called Ikigai. And Iki is translated into life or living. And Gai means benefit, value, worth. So put it together, it's a life worth living. And the elders attribute their longevity to Ikigai. That just means that they don't really have retirement in their vocabulary. They keep working. And this doesn't mean that they're necessarily clocking in at a 9-to-5 job. They may be fishing, they may be tending to gardens, they may be storytelling, but they are active in society and they build their community. Research is showing that their sense of Ikigai is powerful. There was a 2008 Japanese study that followed 43,000 adults and found that those with strong Ikigai had a 30% lower risk of death over the 7 years they were studied. They had better cardiovascular health, reduced inflammation, lower stress hormones. They had better sleep quality. They had a lower risk of dementia. Then there's Nicoya, Costa Rica. That is a peninsula in the northwestern coastal part where there is one of the world's largest concentrations of centenarians. And they have a very similar idea called Plan de Vida, which means plan of life. And they also don't retire. They keep doing the same kinds of things, whether it's fishing, tending to gardens, helping their community and helping kids and storytelling. They have very similar outcomes. Elders maintain a very sharp mental acuity. What I found was really interesting is that they found that Nicoyan men reach age 90 2.5 times higher than an American man. So that says an awful lot. Now, this isn't just cultural wisdom. Modern Western research that is really taking a look at this. In France, the French Institute of Health and Medical Research studied over 400,000 retirees in France, and they found that every additional year of work delayed dementia by 3.2%. So retiring at 65 instead of 60 lowered the risk of Alzheimer's disease. Another study that was published in 2010 by Rush University Medical Center followed 1,200 older adults, and they found those with a sense of purpose were 2.4 times less likely to develop Alzheimer's than those who did not. They also had a 46% lower risk of death overall during that study. Another study by JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association, published a study in 2019, and they also found purpose was very important. They found it lowered all-cause mortality and cardiovascular events. And they found, which I think is so interesting, that it was just as protective or more protective than not smoking and exercising regularly. Another study published by the British Medical Journal in 2019 found that over 7,000 adults 50 or older had better physical function, fewer chronic diseases, and better mental well-being if they had a strong purpose and life satisfaction. Science has taken a look at it too. This is very interesting. So telomeres are the end caps of our chromosomes, which prevent DNA damage, and they maintain cell integrity. So they found that people that had purpose in their life had longer telomeres, meaning that they are aging more slowly, which is really exciting to see. It's also just they're studying brain and brain neural connectivity and resilience against Alzheimer's pathology. Even those with plaque already present, purpose is associated with better brain function overall. So are you sold? I would love to hear what your sense of purpose or passion is. So please drop it in the comments below. I would like to make this more interactive on my channel. And if you don't have your purpose or your passion right now, that's okay, because today is here. It's never too late to start. And sometimes we have times in our lives when we are more dormant than others, and life takes us in various directions where we have to shut down or we have to attend to a family event or something in our profession that does not allow us to pursue that. But today is here and you can do that. Maybe it's a passion or a purpose that you had years ago, but you let it go because of societal constraints or something in your life which interrupted it, or you just needed a break. Maybe it's a passion or purpose that has yet to be discovered, something that you would love to try that you've always been afraid to, or that you thought you couldn't. There's great power in that. So if you need a little inspiration, I have dedicated an entire playlist to people living extraordinary lives after 60. And there's more to come. There is John Didakis, who way beyond his retiring years, I mean, he worked as a journalist for 40 years. He is still publishing award-winning mystery novels, and he is teaching, he is speaking, he has his own YouTube channel and podcast, and he has no intention of stopping. There is Jimmy Duck Holmes at nearly 80 years old, who is still performing and playing. He is the last Bentonian blues musician in the country. He runs the Blue Front Cafe in Mississippi. He is iconic. There is Kelvin Gordon, who at 65 years old is on Fremont Street as a contortionist at 6'1", putting himself into a tiny box, and does it with just love and joy. And you would think he was in his 30s. There's Julian Gallegos, the Michael Jackson's tailor at 94, who was a tailor all the way until like his 90s. And he was out wandering around on Fremont Street. So I am just thrilled that you joined me today. I'm Dr. Sarah Allen, and you're on A Little Bit of Magic. My passion, of course, is being a doctor of Chinese medicine. I love what I do, and I wake up every day happy to go to work, which I'm going to do right now. But my newfound passion is this channel, A Little Bit of Magic. It brings me so much joy to experience the world, to bring the world to you, to breed positivity and light and knowledge. So thank you for watching. It means the world to me. If you would so gladly like it, if you enjoyed this episode, share it. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to build my viewership so that I can keep bringing stories like this to you and keep up my motivation. So I appreciate it very much. I'm Dr. Sarah Allen. You're on A Little Bit of Magic. Stay tuned, and we have more episodes coming up soon.